Free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we're free at last. One of my absolute heroes, Dr. Martin Luther King. I grew up idolizing that man. Learned a lot about him. He died before I was born. Welcome back to my returning subscribers. Welcome back to my new subscribers. And welcome to the potential new followers or subscribers. If the YouTube overlords will allow you to see me. Censorship overlords, in other words. I'm Jerry. My channel is called JerryLovesFreedom. And as you can see from the title, this is probably going to make a couple of you guys mad. Let me give you a little bit of background on me and gold, and then you know where I'm coming from, all right? When I first got into precious metals, my channel started September 2020 when the scamdemic was going on. I was living out in Rochester, New York, but now I live in Las Vegas, Nevada. And every single morning when the scamdemic was going on, I was getting lectured to by Andrew Cuomo, the former governor of New York State, you know, telling me this and telling me that every day, right? And a friend of mine got me into gold and silver. And I absolutely was hooked. I fell in love with it. I still am, by the way. And I bought a lot of gold. I've had over 30 ounces of gold. I don't know exactly how many I had because I've traded them in and out. I've had, you name it, every you know, Buffalo, American Eagles, 10th ounces. I suggest you guys go back and start from the beginning of my channel all the way to the first video and all the way up. And you'll see my progression. I got into it at the end of July 2020. And then about 2 months later, I made a YouTube channel. I was just watching and consuming so much stuff, right? I'm going to say this to you, man. This is not financial advice. I'm just giving it to you real, okay? I'm going to give you an example. At night when I go to sleep, I watch a lot of different things to relax, you know what I mean? And lately, probably in the last 2 months, I've been watching this channel where they show, I don't know what was going on. I think they were showing, I think it's like a B-roll of newscasters or news anchors or news outlets showing different retail stores like Target or Kmart or Sears or something like that. And you can watch stuff from back in the 80s and 90s. And what they did was they show an outside shot of what was going on outside. And you can see like all the old cars, and it's grainy footage, of course. And it's just, I don't know, it's just very relaxing. And then they'll show that for a few minutes, and then they'll go inside the retail store and show you what was going on, whether it was some kind of news story about the sale or whatever. But again, it's a bunch of B-roll stuff. And then you see the news anchor. Sometimes he's getting ready to talk and he's messing up, and he's, you know, it's like the outtakes of it. But what I noticed is when they were showing the stuff, they showed the prices of everything. They would show technology, they'd show TVs, and back then TVs were not anywhere near what they are now. But in dollar terms, they were pretty expensive because technology now is getting cheaper as we get more technology. But also I would notice, one in particular, I think was Kmart in 1992. They had people coming up to the register, and they had this one couple, they had a credit card. And in the credit card, they didn't swipe the credit card. They manually took it out and put the numbers in. I thought that was interesting, and I remember that. I was 17 then. I was born in 1975. And I remember my grandmother, because I was raised by her, going up to the register and always having that cool credit card that I always wanted. And I got one when I went into the Navy. I used to be in the military too. And they would take it and physically put the numbers in. And then a lot of people that were buying, they would have cash, and they'd have it like in an envelope, and they'd buy stuff and everything else. And the reason I bring that up is because, I got to scratch my back. Hold on, guys, sorry. The reason why I bring that up is because you just see how things have changed in the world. Technology, the cars are different. The way they operated was different. But one thing I never seen in my 48 years is I've never seen anybody transact in gold. That's number one. But number two, everything's becoming more digital. The 1982 video I watched, I think it was Sears, nobody was using credit cards. They were just using cash and stuff like that. But as we progressed, now you barely see people using cash at the register. They do, but it's a lot less prevalent than it was back then. And also, when people do use their card, they don't punch it in. It went from punching it in manually to swiping it, and now it's just putting it chip first in there, and now you can take your phone and zap it. So we're in a technology age that we're moving along. I don't have any gold, ladies and gentlemen. I do have silver, and I'll get into that in a second. There's many reasons I don't have any gold anymore, and I had to make that decision, and that was a tough decision and a tough pill to swallow. Now, I wasn't into gold a long time before I traded it in and sold it. Now, what I did was I took the gold and I traded it in 3 ways. Actually 4 ways. I got some cash backs. I made some money on some gold. So I put that in a stash of cash. I traded it for some Bitcoin. I traded it in, did a ratio trade for silver and a ratio trade for platinum. And I have plenty of videos talking about that. And that was a tough decision because I loved gold, and I thought, you know, gold is money, and gold was God's money, and it is. But is gold a good form of money? And I had to look at that objectively. And the more and more I really thought about it, because I have a very logical brain, because I'm not the smartest guy in the world, and you'll get to know me if you watch my videos. It's almost like I'm a blind man, and my ears and my sound or my hearing has to go up a lot higher because I can't see anything. So because I'm not that smart, my logical brain has to kick in, and I gotta keep everything stupid. Keep it simple, stupid, KISS. And I gotta be very logical with stuff. That's why when I first got into silver, I would buy Constitutional all the time, because I just didn't understand how this stuff that they're not making anymore, all the historic value, it's real money because it literally has denomination and is government backed. Why is this cheaper? Because when I first started, Constitutional was cheaper. So my logical brain said, buy a bunch of Constitution, and I did, and I'm glad I did. And it's more than 1/3 of my silver stack, because I do have a lot of silver, ladies and gentlemen. I'm specifically talking about gold, because sometimes when you talk about gold, especially in the mainstream, they're talking about gold and silver, because silver is like the little brother to gold. And so I had to look at gold and say, is this a good form of money? I had to really logically think about this. And it's not. And I'm going to tell you why. When gold was a good form of money a long time ago, you know, because it was better than seashells and better than what the Native Americans used to use or whoever. This is globally, but in particular, the United States, Native Americans had money, but gold was the money. And why did we make gold money? Because even though it's God's money, that we call it, the reason why we call it money, or God's money, is because of a few things. Number one is, it's very hard to make. Gold is an absolutely precious, rare metal, a lot more rare than silver. And it was definitely a lot of proof of work to get that metal out of the ground, the ore out of the ground. Also, it's very rare. That's why it's precious. You can't destroy it. You can't, you know, copy it that well. I know tungsten you can. But it was just so many different ways it was better. It was just a better form of the inferior money that it took over, because it took over other things too. Because the Native Americans, even though we've had gold 5,000 years around the world, the Native Americans didn't. They weren't using gold. They were using something else a few hundred years ago. So when Christopher Columbus came over here, and the colonizers, or the colonists, or whatever you want to call them, did what they did to the indigenous people, their money won over and took over, and that was gold. And gold was a good form of money. You can put it into coins and everything else. The problem is when you start, because again, we chose it as money. You know, animals don't use it. Human beings, we use it as a form of exchange and a form of energy we put into it. The problem is human beings are very greedy. We're very greedy. And even as a store of value with gold, as of right now, it hasn't been. The last 10 to 12 years, and I'll get to that in a minute. But as far as the money is concerned, basically everyday transactions, and using as a form of, hey, I'm going to give you this for that. Human beings, because we try to get more efficient with technology, it was very rough once gold started becoming more and more valuable. We use silver too for like small things, but gold in particular, because it held so much value in a small area, we had to do something. So we started using, because it wasn't practical to hold a bunch of gold in your pocket, right? So what did we do? We started printing up promissory notes. And that's where it went all downhill. You guys know the story. For one or two of you that may not, they started basically printing up these fiat currencies, or these debt notes. They did this all over the world, but in particular America, and it would be backed by the amount of gold that was in the world, as far as like in the vaults and stuff like that, because the human beings kept it in the vaults. The problem is we started getting greedy, and we started printing out more notes than there was actual ounces and tons of ounces of gold. And that's where the problem came in, and we started debasing our energy, basically, because that's what money is. And so we haven't, for hundreds of years, we haven't used gold in everyday transactions. And then we use it as a store of value, and then backed it up. We backed up those notes with that said store of value, or that store of energy, and that was gold. That was God's money, written in the Constitution and everything. But again, the problem is we don't use gold as money. Now, the title of this video is "Gold is not a good money." Okay, it's also not a very good store of value. Let me touch on that for a little bit. Now, it depends on when you look at the chart, right? If you look at it for over the last 100 years, yeah, it's done pretty well. Now, we're comparing it, everything that I'm talking about, we're comparing it to the money that's going on out here. And the money is the fiat currency, the US dollar, the number one fiat currency in the world. That is what people, if you polled everybody on the streets and you asked 1,000 people what is money, I would say high 90% of them would say a US dollar. You know what I mean? Some of them would give some kind of crazy answer, but high 80s, mid 90s, people would say the US dollar. So that's what I'm comparing gold to as far as a store of value, and keeping up with the debasement of that, because you guys know what happened in 2020. And if you didn't know, and this is one of the reasons I'm still upset with Donald Trump, is we printed out a lot of US dollar bills and also numbers on the screen. And what happened was, and I'm talking about a small window of time, because again, over the 100 years or whatever, gold has definitely been a good inflation hedge, and also it was been over, better than keeping up with inflation, is beating inflation in comparison to the US dollars and what the US dollars can purchase with you. Because you know the old saying, an ounce of gold is an ounce of gold, and an ounce of gold could buy a fine man's suit. I don't know if you guys looked at a fine suit today. They're pretty expensive. And compared to a $1,900 or $2,000 ounce of gold, you might be able to get a suit, but a fine suit, you can't get one of the top-notch suits that a rich person wears. Maybe one for people, just regular people like me and you. We could definitely get us some suits, but not, I don't know about a fine man suit. Depends on your definition. So if you look over the past 10 to 12 years in comparison to fiat currency dollars, or political currency units, as Luke Broyles likes to call them, and I love that, it hasn't done so well. And you pair that and couple that with the fact that we have printed trillions of dollars. Now, let me stop right there, okay? In 2008, when we had the housing crisis, and then all that stuff was going on in 2009 and everything, we had the Great Recession of our modern day era. It was almost like the Great Depression in our era. We printed out a few $100 billion, and that was a lot at the time. That was a lot of money. But then once they did that, they just kept on printing billions. So when you print trillions, it seems like, oh, it's just a T in front of the B. Do you guys know how much $1 billion is? I want you to think about that for a second. If you're a millionaire is $1 million, which in today's money and purchasing power, It's honestly not that much, depending on where you live. But $1 million, if you say, oh, I'm a millionaire, saying being a millionaire is not the same as it was back in the days. But $1 billion is 1,000 million. So if you got a shoebox, that's what about $1 million could fit, depends on the size of the shoebox, can fit right about inside of a shoebox. You gotta take 1,000 of those to make $1 billion. That's a lot of money, man. 100 billion is a lot of money. That's 100 shoeboxes. But 1,000 of them is $1 billion. Now think about what $1 trillion is. $1 trillion makes $1 billion look like nothing. It's the same thing what $1 million is to $1 billion. $1 trillion is 1,000 billions. That's a lot of money, okay? And when we were first printing out the money, or the fiat currency, to give to the banks and help them. I mean, I'm not gonna go in a rant. That was a lot of money back then, those hundreds of billions. Now that's nothing. We do that, it's nothing. We gave out 1.7 billion, 1.7 trillion in an omnibus bill. I think we're giving 100 billion to Ukraine a month. So billions are nothing now in compared to trillions. But that's a lot of dollars and a lot of political currency units and a lot of digits on the screen to be pumping out there. That's a lot of supply of our fiat currency. Because remember, money is supposed to be hard to get. Money's supposed to be finite, not infinite, because your energy is not infinite, it's finite. And that's what all money is. So when you have the ability to print as much as you can or much as you want at any time you want to, you saw what happened a couple months ago when those banks went insolvent, Silicon Valley and the rest of them. All that money that we took out of the economy, we just put it back just like that when we needed to bail out those banks. And that just shows you where people put their money at, because they didn't care about those people out in Ohio and East Palestine. They didn't care about them. But when the banks go under, again, watch what people, how they spend their money. Forget about what they say. So with all these trillions out here in the world, just in US dollars, not around the world, just in US dollars, why is gold not up? Because in comparison to the fiat currency, if I think it was 4 trillion we had in 2020 in the whole economy of the United States. I think it was 4 trillion. Now it's like 20 something trillion. The last time I checked, don't quote me on that. But basically, for every dollar we had, we times it by 5. So if that's the case, if gold was 1,800 at the time or whatever it was, why hasn't gold gone up 5 times the amount? You got to ask yourself that. So when people tell me that the CPI numbers come out and inflation is this or that, I already know that's a lie, because it's mathematically and physically impossible to you to increase the money supply that much and it only be 9% or whatever it is. We know what it is. It takes time to catch up, and trust me, you ain't seen nothing yet, ladies and gentlemen. You have seen nothing yet. So when you see people stock portfolios going up and all this other stuff going up, because they've all outperformed gold, how can it outperform God's money, all these different things? Well, a couple reasons. Number one, a lot of people are not putting money into gold. If they were, the price would reflect that. That's number one. Number two, people don't really know about gold as far as an investment and things like that. They just think about it as jewelry. They don't know about bullion. And number three, the gold market is manipulated. The governments and all the other stuff keep it cheap so they can pile it up as much as they want. Meanwhile, keeping the price suppressed. And again, as a store of value, that's not good. Because if you want something as a store of value and the price is not even keeping up with the debasement of the fiat currency, that's not good. And guys, this is going to be a hard pill to swallow, because I'm talking to the gold bugs. I'm not talking about people who have silver. Silver is a completely different category in this particular aspect. And again, you're talking to a guy that had over 30 ounces of gold. It was a tough decision for me. but you got to tell the truth, and you got to know the numbers, ladies and gentlemen. And just look at the chart, man. Just look at the gold chart in prices in comparison, as far as the dollars being the denominator, because that's what we price everything in this paradigm shift. What it's doing compared to that, and it's not doing well. The US dollar is multiplying. Meanwhile, the gold's prices, as far as being a store of value, hasn't been a good one in the last 10 or 12 years, just in that small window. So if that's the case, because again, this is what gold is for. Gold is for this particular situation. You're supposed to be stockpiling gold up, and your gold's supposed to be worth 3, 4, 5 times the worth what it is now, or what it was when you first bought it, because of the debasement. The problem is it's not doing that. So if it's not doing that, it is not a good store of value. And also, we're not using it as money. I don't care what you say about it. You can say it's money, but try to take it to a store and try to spend it. It's not money. Unless you want to spend a $50 American Silver Eagle on something worth $50. And again, if you do that, you got bigger problems. So you got to look at it objectively into your portfolio for you gold bugs out here. Because I see these videos, and again, when I go to bed, I like to watch relaxing stuff. I actually watch some silver videos, some guys that got like real smooth, quiet voices and stuff. I listen to them. But I also listen to a guy named Ron from Ron's Basement. I love Ron, man. Ron is such a down-to-earth guy. He's in his 50s. He's an older guy. I'm 48. He's probably 10 years older than me, 8 years. No, I think he's 54, something like that. He's a few years older than me. Real nice guy, man. Love Ron. He means well, man. He means well. He just doesn't know. And he's one of the guys that sometimes I listen to when I go to bed. Not because he's boring or I go to sleep. He just, he means well, man. He's almost like the Mr. Rogers of gold and silver. Like that guy. I think it was last night. I don't know. I listened to it last night. I don't know the videos from last night. He was talking about CBDCs, central bank digital currencies, which we all talk about. We talk about that in the silver world, the Bitcoin world, and the gold world. And he was saying that basically, try to say this without laughing, that gold is going to be the answer to the CBDCs. And my question is how? How is it going to be? And then he said something very interesting, which this is why I make these videos. He said, well, what are you going to do if you don't buy gold? Are you going to buy the Bitcoin and the cryptocurrencies and buy it on FTX? And see, that right there shows me that he doesn't understand. And a lot of people don't understand. And I didn't understand. And that's why, again, I make these videos. FTX is not Bitcoin. Crypto is not Bitcoin. And CBDCs are not Bitcoin. The reason why they make CBDCs, in other words, central bank digital currencies, is for control and to battle against Bitcoin. Bitcoin came out before the central bank digital currency. It's all about control, ladies and gentlemen. And China is doing that right now. And do you think, logically speaking, let me say that again. Do you think that if a central bank digital currency comes out, let's say it comes out in 2030, in 7 years, 6.5 years, and they roll it out, because we already pretty much have a central bank digital currency, except without the complete cashless society and 100% control. But they still have control and monitoring us, because trust me, when you use your debit card, they know what you're doing. But let's say it's just full blown now, it's 100%. Let's say right now it's at 60%, and it's 100% central bank digital currency. No cash, complete monitoring, complete control. Do you honestly think in 7 years, 6 years, whatever, that gold is going to save you? Logically speaking, ladies and gentlemen, again, guys, gold is not money. Gold is a store of value. Money is when you can transact with it every day. Okay? What are you going to do with the gold when we're in a complete CBDC digital money, where all you're doing is clicking your phone up to that thing or whatever device they have in 7 years, because you don't even know what they're going to have then? What are you going to use, ladies and gentlemen? Are you going to use gold and go up to the counter? No. You're going to have your gold stored up in a vault or wherever you keep it, and you're going to get paid in central bank digital currencies, and you're going to spend central bank digital currencies. You're not going to spend gold. And if you do want to sell your gold, and cash is outlawed, what are you going to sell your gold for? Again, ask yourself this logically. I'm not knocking on gold. I'm not telling you not to buy gold. I'm not telling you gold is terrible. I'm not telling you gold is terrible. I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is, as the transition moves on in this world, ask yourself, are you ready for the digital world? And for you gold bugs out here that tell me that all, you know, Bitcoin is nothing and gold's the real money and all that, leave me in the comment section below, or you can debate me, and I'll tell you that in a minute, on why gold can do that. I make these videos not to make fun of gold or silver or prop up Bitcoin. I make these videos to transition and help people to get ready for the absolute tyranny that's coming from these central bank digital currencies, because they're coming. And I'm telling you, man, I'm scared of those things. So to sum it up, gold has not been a good store of value, as you can see in the charts. Look at the last 10, 12, 14 years or whatever. But at the same time, Bitcoin came around in 2009 and it's doing exactly as advertised so far. Right now, Bitcoin is not ready to be a full-blown transactional money right now. It's not. It's not. It has the Lightning network on top of it that makes it a lot faster, and I'll get to that in a second. And a lot of people around the world are using it. But people can't have and carry around gold, and if they do store gold, again, what are they going to trade it in for in the digital world and in the digital future? Gold is an absolute beautiful metal. I was inspired to make this video. I watched Bitcoin University this morning, and there was another video I watched too from Simply Bitcoin that breaks some of the stuff down about India and also what's going to happen about gold and stuff like that. I'll leave both of those videos in the description. And Bitcoin University said it best. Who's going to walk around with shiny rocks, shiny yellow rocks in their pocket and make transactions? You're just not. You don't and I don't. We're gold bugs. I'm a former gold bug. Central bank digital currencies are the last leg of slavery, ladies and gentlemen. It's absolute slavery. There's no other way to say it. Bitcoin is the way, ladies and gentlemen. It's not ready full-blown yet, like I said before. It's a baby, it's brand new. But if you look at the chart and compare it to compare it to gold in the last 10 to 12 years, if you would have put whatever you put into gold into Bitcoin in comparison to the political currency units, the fiat currency, let's just say your purchasing power not only catch up with inflation, but it would have done a lot better. Okay, you'd have bought a lot of stuff. Everything in this world priced in Bitcoin, because Bitcoin one day will be the denominator, or should I say Satoshis, the division or the divisible form of Bitcoin. 100 million Satoshis in every Bitcoin will be the standard and be divided into it. Right now, I use Bitcoin as a store of value. I'm starting to get on a Bitcoin standard. I'm starting to, when I send it or spend it a little bit, I put it right back. But this is generational money, ladies and gentlemen, that cannot be debased. It's a ledger for everyone to see, and you can't make any more of it. Bitcoin is completely different than gold. It's a better version than gold. I will give you 3 things that gold has that Bitcoin doesn't, and I'll be objective when I say this. Bitcoin is a really pretty, beautiful metal. You can use it for industry, and that's great. I love gold like that because it's absolutely beautiful. I have gold jewelry. I love it. Number 2, it has a better track record in history. It's been here for thousands of years. I can't beat that. And also 3rd, because of the second one, it's more trusted than Bitcoin. People know about it more, has a bigger name than Bitcoin. But with that being said, those 3 things does not make it a better money than Bitcoin. Bitcoin right now is used as money around the world. So is gold, but I think to a smaller extent in a modern day world. Maybe in a less modern technology world, people are trading goods for gold. I know they are. But as the world progresses and more computer and electricity and computer technology and stuff comes out and AIs and stuff, trust me, that's going to go away. And again, Bitcoin is not ready right now to be the world reserve currency or money or the standard or whatever. But right now people are using it, and it's a great store of value in comparison to anything. Nothing you can compare in this world, anything, stocks, anything, can compare to Bitcoin in fiat terms. Did it go up to 60 something thousand? Absolutely. And it went down to 30,000. Why is that? Because people didn't know what the hell was going on. People rushed into Bitcoin, trying to get rich with the crypto stuff. Because again, Bitcoin ain't crypto. And then the soft hands, or the people that didn't know about Bitcoin, rushed out of it and the price went down. Bitcoin is going to be the standard, and it's going to take over gold's market cap one day as a monetary instrument. Because again, gold is not good money. I love gold. I love God. I love this country. But it's not a good money. And it definitely lately hasn't been a good store of value. If it was going to be a great store of value, this would have been the time. And it has, regretfully to say this, it has miserably failed as a store of value. And throughout the years, because of the debasement of people, that's the words, printing out money and being greedy, it has absolutely failed as a money, because we cannot trust people, because they will always print more dollars than there will be gold in the vaults. Again, guys, how much gold is in the vaults? How much gold is in Fort Knox? They'll never tell you that. I'm gonna tell you this right now. Bitcoin is being mined, and a new block of Bitcoin transactions are coming every roughly 10 minutes. It's TikTok next block. And every block right now, we're in the 4th epoch. I'll explain that later in another video. It's 6.25 Bitcoin being mined every roughly 10 minutes. In a 24-hour period, 10 minutes. Divide 24 hours into 10 minutes, or divided by 10 minutes or whatever. You get 144. That's roughly how many blocks are getting mined every single day. At 6.25, you time that by 144, I believe. And that comes out to about 900 Bitcoin a day. Every 210,000 blocks, they have what's called a Bitcoin halving. It's built into the protocol. And the halving is coming around April next year. And when that halving comes, everything gets cut in half, except the block time. 10 minutes is going to be TikTok next block. But instead of 6.25 every 144 blocks, it's going to be 3.125 every 144 blocks. So with these ETFs almost guaranteed to come out, the news media actually sticking up for Bitcoin, people flooding into Bitcoin over the next 10 months because of all the stuff with the banks and everything else, you ask yourself that, what's going to be a better store of value or better money? Because every single day I'm seeing ATMs with Bitcoin ATMs. I'm seeing places that take Bitcoin. Meanwhile, cash is going away and they're trying to bring us to the CBDCs. You got to skate to where the puck is going, like I always say, like in the Great Wayne Gretzky says. You got to do that. And you can't be holding on to old ideals. I love gold. If you want to keep it and pass it down to your children, that's fine. But I got a funny feeling your children will take that Bitcoin, or take that gold, and turn it into Bitcoin. All right, guys, let me know what you think in the comment section below. I'm sorry if I upset you, but I got to tell you the truth, ladies and gentlemen. I had about 4 or 5 of you yesterday, because I was giving out free Satoshis yesterday to anybody that doesn't have Bitcoin. What I'm suggesting you guys do is download a Moon wallet, M-U-U-N wallet. It's a Bitcoin wallet. Go to the App Store, download that wallet, and I'm giving away some Satoshis. You download that and be a subscriber. Send me an email. I'll leave the link leave my email in the description box. Send me your address, your Moon address. Make sure when you download the Moon, you get the Lightning, because Bitcoin by itself, just the Bitcoin network, is very slow and clunky. That's why I say it's not ready. But the Lightning network is on top of it and it makes it just go just like that. You'll learn about that more. And all I ask you to do, if I send you some Satoshis, is learn about Bitcoin, subscribe to Bitcoin University or anybody else that's learning about Bitcoin or teaching about Bitcoin. There's a lot of resources. Read the white paper, learn about it, tell your friends and family, and buy more. That's all I ask you to do, ladies and gentlemen, and give back. Because somebody gave me some Satoshis, and I'm going to give them back to you and more. So, and one more thing. If any of you guys want to have a friendly debate with me, and I'm not talking me bashing out, because a lot of you gold bugs don't want technology to go. You guys just want to stay in the old system for some reason because you're stuck on gold. If you want to have a friendly debate about why you think gold is better than Bitcoin, or also why gold is going to be the savior from CBDCs, I'm more than welcome to do that. And we can upload it and put it on my channel or whatever. I'm not going to curse you out or do anything to divide us. I'm not trying to divide this community. I'm trying to bring us together. I'm not telling anybody to sell their gold and silver, because I have a lot of silver, a lot of it. But with gold, I have none for the reasons I just said. But if you're a gold bug out here, because I have people that used to watch my channel that just can't watch me anymore because I talk about Bitcoin. But again, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how you get there. It's just how you get there. If you have a goal of losing weight and you want to lose 100 pounds and you try the paleo diet, it doesn't work, doesn't mean that you still don't want to lose 100 pounds. You just try a carnivore diet, or you try the, intermittent fasting, or calorie cutting more, or exercising more and eating the same, or whatever it is to get to that goal. My goal is freedom, ladies and gentlemen, and away from this slavery and tyranny. That's my goal. And whatever tool that gets me there, because my name used to be Jerry Loves Gold, Silver, Bitcoin, all that's cool. But at the end of the day, Jerry loves freedom, and you love freedom. And that's why I choose Bitcoin. And I think you should too. So if you want to debate, hit me up and we'll do it. We'll record it or have a private one, whatever you want to do. And hopefully at the end, I can get you to buy some Bitcoin. And probably what I'm going to do is I'm going to upload some gold and Bitcoin debates. The first one I ever saw was Michael Saylor and that guy, I forget his name. He did it on the Daniela Camboni show. Every single debate I watch, the Bitcoin guy kills him. It's easy, ladies and gentlemen. It's so easy because gold has not been a good form of money. But people just hold on to it because they're in the echo chamber. Because you become what you think about. If you think about one thing all the time, and you think about gold and silver, and this is the way, and I don't want to hear nothing, then of course you're going to get stuck on it. But you got to think about the right thing. Don't think about doing the paleo diet. Think about losing 100 pounds. Think about your freedom, period. End of story. Don't think about the way to get there and the direction of how to get there or whatever. Think about the results and what your goal is. You could change your methods, but never change the goal. I love each and every one of you, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace and love, guys.